Hello viewers, my name's Brian and welcome to Jehovah's Witnesses Questions Answered. I had a comment of somebody asking, why don't you answer the own question that you proposed, which was, why do Jehovah's Witnesses think evangelical Christians are annoying, and why do Christians think Jehovah's Witnesses are annoying? So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to answer that question, those questions. And so first of all, why do we as evangelical Christians view Jehovah's Witnesses as being annoying? Well, they come to your door and they seem to talk about some small talk or ask questions like, do you think there'll ever be peace on earth? But they always seem to get around to attacking doctrines that we have held very dearly for likely most of our adult lives, maybe perhaps even all of our lives. And doctrines such as the deity of Christ and the Trinity and forgiveness of sins by grace rather than and through faith rather than by works. And they seem to have answers to objections we bring up to their points. They've been trained and taught very well. And so that can be intimidating. Sometimes it might be a little bit threatening to evangelical Christians when they don't have the answers to those issues. So we find that annoying. Rightly or wrongly so. Also, it goes beyond that. What we also find annoying is kind of a stubbornness, a bit of arrogance, and if they are presented with a question they can answer, Jehovah's Witnesses tend to then shut down, change the subject, leave, or perhaps we might even be accused of being a hostile opposer or something like that, and they tend to write us off. So that's what we find annoying. But let's turn the tables now. Jehovah's Witnesses can find evangelical Christians annoying because they go door to door and they experience a lot of door slamming, some hiding, where evangelical Christians will pretend like they're not home, and avoidance. They'll just avoid. And if they do talk with Jehovah's Witnesses, then there can be a stubbornness there as well, perhaps some arrogance and rudeness, smart alecky answers at times. But there seems to be, if you can put yourself in the mindset of a Jehovah's Witness, they believe they have the truth. And so if someone doesn't just humbly accept that truth right away, that's frustrating to them. And they feel like someone's being stubborn or not open to what God has for them. So that's why Jehovah's Witnesses can find evangelical Christians annoying. Well, I have some challenges for either side, and then some challenges for both sides together. So first of all, I think we need to stop. Just both sides, we need to stop seeing each other as annoying. That's our reaction, that's our response, but we should stop being reactionary, both evangelical Christians and Jehovah's Witnesses. Be calm. Just be calm, be loving, be respectful, be caring. Let's see each other as fellow human beings. We all have hopes and fears and loves and joys and frustrations and anger and things we're dealing with in our lives. If we could listen to each other about those things, it would go a long way to considering each other as fellow human beings. And we're not really enemies of each other. To Jehovah's Witnesses, I would say that you really need to learn the difference between opposition and persecution. They're not the same thing. I can oppose what a church or pastor or teacher teaches but I'm not persecuting them. I'm disagreeing with them, and we can dialogue about that without it being seen by you as persecution. What's persecution in the Bible? Whether in the past or coming, it involves torture, it involves being beaten, being jailed, being killed. So what you're experiencing by us is not persecution. In fact, it can be very healthy dialogue. I like to interact with atheists, with agnostics, with people of other religions and other philosophies and worldviews. And when they raise a question or a point that I find difficult, I don't just say, well, you're persecuting me. My response is usually, I don't have an answer to that. I need to think about that. That's definitely worth thinking about. I need to research that more, and can we get back together again? Can I get back to you with what I find? So there's a difference between healthy dialogue that, yes, can make us feel uncomfortable, and persecution. Please learn that difference. And then I wanted to point out to you that in the book of Jude, it says there, put up a hard fight for the faith that was once for all delivered to the holy ones. In other translations, it'll say, contend earnestly for the faith that was once delivered. And you're failing. You're not doing that. You're just writing people off, shutting down, leaving them, changing the subject. And instead you need to interact with them more, with us more. I think of Paul in Athens and other places where he interacted with the pagan philosophers on Mars Hill. And this is in Acts chapter 17. And that he didn't give up on them. When they raised objections and questions and points, he didn't just write them off. He said, let's talk about this more. And then even among his fellow Jews, he would contend and debate with them in the synagogue over and over again. He didn't give up on them. So how about for evangelicals? I would challenge you to love Jehovah's Witnesses, care about them as individuals, as real people, because that's what they are. They are people. They're not the enemy. I know that there's been some sermons and websites and teachings about cults, what we consider to be cult groups, and we see them as, oh, this enemy that's trying to come in and subvert the church. They're not the enemy. There may be some arguments that their organization at the top might be an enemy, but that's another subject. But the day-to-day people that you see, they're not the enemy. They're just highly involved, highly committed, completely 100% sold out to the Watchtower Bible Tract organization and its governing body as being absolutely authoritative. And so they're committed to that, they're in bondage to that, and they're people, they're not the enemy. So let's love them, let's care about them. If nothing else, even if you don't know how to contend earnestly for the faith with them, you can share with them what God is doing in your life, what Jesus has done for you and who Jesus is to you, and the joy, the excitement you have about what God is doing in you, around you, through His Word, and the relationship that you have, that personal relationship with God where we call Him Abba, Father. And that's going to go much further than any argument we can have or any great point we can bring up. It's going to speak much louder. And there are some really specific reasons for that maybe I'll get into in a later video. But for now, let's treat each other as human beings with respect, with love, with care, with concern. Let's keep each other as friends as long and as far as we possibly can. Thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe, and put your questions in the comments because it may be the subject for an upcoming video. Thank you. Bye-bye.